I'm pretty excited right now because that's Montana and that's Canada. And I'm about to cross into Canada on that side for the first time ever in my nomadic life. Happy Sunday, everybody. In our first 3 episodes of this series, I took you from Colorado all the way up to Glacier National Park, where we did both sides. But today, we're crossing into Canada, where I'm going to show you Waterton National Park, Lumbrick Falls, Banff National Park, Banff Lake Louise, and Moraine Lake, which was my favorite thing on this whole tour. Keep watching to see the entire trip all the way down to Vancouver Island. I have never gone above Oregon or Idaho. I haven't even been to Washington, even though I used to live in Seattle. So this is very exciting, and I've got a bunch of cool stuff coming up. I've packed my schedule because I really don't want to just drive through. I want to experience it. And so I've had to jump around, find camp spots, find places to stealth, but I think I have it figured out. So I'm going to go across the border right now. All right, taking you guys with me. Let's do it. I hopped in my 20-foot camper van and had a beautiful morning drive up to the border. Then I crossed at the Chief Mountain Border Crossing, which is just above Glacier National Park, right on the way to my next stop, which was Waterton Lakes National Park. Now, this is a tiny little border crossing that connects Montana Highway 17 to Alberta Highway 6. But no, if you want to do it, that it's a seasonal port and is usually only open from May through September. Now, it's such a non-busy entry that it took a while for anyone even to see that I was there and to wave me up to the gate. When they did, they asked me a variety of questions. It's so funny when you go into Canada and come back out, because going into Canada, they asked me if I had a firearm 10 different ways. Do you have a handgun? Do you have a firearm? Do you have any magazines? Do you have a concealed carry? I said no to all of these questions. When you come back in the other way into the US, it's totally different, and I'll show you that in episode 8. It was still early in the morning when I got to Waterton Lake National Park, and before I drove to my reserved campsite, I wanted to do the 15-kilometer scenic drive through Red Rock Canyon to see the famous red and green argillite rocks that are in this area. If you make this drive, there is a fantastic half-mile loop at the end that has stunning views. The Waterton Glacier International Peace Park was established in 1932 to celebrate the friendship between the U.S. and Canada. But Waterton, unlike Glacier, is really just a small town. People live on this amazing lake surrounded by mountains, and it's just not a very busy area. So finding parking right on the beach was no problem. I hung out and watched people go by until I visited the historic Prince of Wales Hotel for a traditional afternoon tea. This was amazing, and you get to look out the front of this historic lodge over the bluff onto the lake. But just know, if you don't want to do the tea, there is a parking lot right outside of the hotel where you can walk out on the bluff and see it for yourself. Then I headed for the townsite campground, which is the only game in town. I made reservations for this place on Parks Canada. Now, to get to Banff National Park in Canada, I could have gone through Calgary, but instead, I took the Cowboy Trail, which takes you through the Canmore area. This is spectacular. I highly recommend it. I passed by Lumbrick Falls, and while I was going through the area, I saw that there was camping everywhere. If I were going to go back to Canada, I would absolutely spend a couple of weeks in this area. Then I turned onto the Trans Canada Highway, which took me all the way to Banff, and every mile that I drove was more spectacular than the last. Now, Banff National Park is a massive area that has lots of different camping options. Go to Parks Canada to see them for yourself. But I stayed one night in Banff proper, and then I headed for Banff Lake Louise, which is on this amazing turquoise lake and has a historic hotel. But if you want to go, know this: parking is a nightmare. It's best to get a tour up there or a reservation on a shuttle bus. That's why I made a reservation to see the area on horseback. I was able to park at the stable, and then take a guided ride with the group through the local wilderness and learn about the area as we went down to see Lake Louise from the backside without the crowds. That night, I stayed at the Lake Louise campground to get a good night's sleep because at 4 a.m. the next morning, I was picked up by a tour company to take a Moraine Lake sunrise tour. This was absolutely my favorite thing in the entire trip. Moraine Lake is stunning, but it is very crowded, and you have to have a reservation on a shuttle bus or with a tour company to get inside. Getting a picture of the turquoise lake without somebody in it is almost impossible, but for me, it was absolutely worth it because the sun rises over the very tips of the mountains, and then the pink of that sunrise works its way all the way down until it is reflected in the turquoise waters. It is spectacular, and if you make your way up into Banff, I highly recommend it. Thanks to a couple of new friends on my tour bus, I learned that the hostel inside of Lake Louise had the best breakfast and the best showers. So I made a stop there before I jumped on the Icefield Parkway and made my way to my next campground, which was called Mosquito Creek. This place was amazing, and I used it as my home base for the next leg of my tour, which will take us through Yoho National Park and the ice fields, where I walk on glaciers and then head all the way up to Jasper National Park. I'll show you guys that next Sunday. Until then, everybody out there, have happy travels and be free.